space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And this episode, we're talking about the final Barclay Voyager before the Voyager finale. So it's not really the final Barclay Voyager, but kind of is. It's the last standard one.
Yeah.
And then we're moving on with the Dominion War. We've got a more exciting Dominion War adjacent this episode, but it'll how important it is will become relevant when we get to the next ones. But it's much better than Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian. Yeah. I can't imagine the next time I'll want to watch Meridian.
Nope, definitely not. So, yeah, we're looking at Defiant. But before then, we've got... There's a fair bit of Trek news this week. The most... Well, you can decide what's the most exciting, but... we finally got an air date for the next show, and we had all our money. We hedged all our bets on Prodigy being the next show, and we're completely wrong. It's Lower Decks Season 2, and that's coming on the 12th of August, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. So, I can't remember from what date it is. We'll be broadcasting following that. We'll be covering Lower Decks on a weekly basis, as we have done previously.
It'll be our episode will be out before the subsequent episode. So we just need to work it out. So we're not sure when we're going to get it in the UK yet. Hopefully, Amazon have picked it up since they got season 1, and we won't have the problems we had last year. But either way,
let's hope that. Yeah, let's hope they've sorted out worldwide distribution. There's not like... it must have been nearly a 6-month delay.
Oh, it was a long time, far too long. But
yeah,
either way, we'll cover it. But we've got other news as well. So, Elliot, talk us through the latest Trek news.
Well, there's been quite a few leaked screenshots from Strange New Worlds.
Oh, has there?
I've not managed to get a screen grab of it, but
the transporter,
they've shown us the transporter room.
Yes.
And they've kept it. At first glance, you think, that looks nothing like TOS. And then you actually look at it and you think, actually, no, they've got the big discs on the floor, they've got the green panels on the wall behind it, and...
Yeah, it's very...
They haven't gone with lilac walls for some reason. I can't imagine why you wouldn't go with lilac walls.
Maybe it's it doesn't look quite as good on the more modern cameras now, but yeah, it's very much in keeping with what they did in Discovery Season 2, which was... It's close enough that you can recognise it, but they have modernised it so that it doesn't place.
It had quite a lot of almost a cream colour to it, the walls.
Yeah.
And to me, it looks like it's almost a blend of TOS and movies, movie style. So, as if we're sort of getting a bit of a mix of both.
I think that's what they're going for with the sort of future retro TOS, but 21st century aesthetic.
Let's be realistic. We all love TOS, but you cannot make a sci-fi show in the 21st century with sets that look like what TOS did.
No, you can't.
TOS was brilliant for its day, and we love those shows. They still stand up to us watching them. But as a new show, it wouldn't stand up.
No, it wouldn't. And I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people are not happy with it. And the argument...
I know people...
The argument...
You've got purists and they go, oh, you can't change it. You've got to change it.
You do, and people will say, "Well, why did they make a prequel if they don't want it?" And yeah, that's one answer. You just don't make a prequel, and then you don't have to deal with this problem. But that'd mean we don't get Strange New Worlds, and we don't get more adventures with Pike and Spock. And
Well,
I'm happy.
The thing is with Strange New Worlds is that we have the opportunity at the end of Strange New Worlds, before the original series, for the Enterprise to have another refit.
Exactly.
Before Kirk goes off on his 5-year mission.
Exactly. So it can all, if you want to lose sleep over it, you can do, but it can still all work, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And the other news that I saw was that we have a director confirmed for the next movie. So we've got a confirmed writer, a confirmed director. It's a director who directed some episodes of WandaVision. So all the crew's getting in place, but we still literally know nothing whatsoever about this film. We don't know whether it's going to be a Kelvin film. We don't know whether it's going to be a spin-off from any of the shows that are currently in development. We don't know whether it's going to be something completely different. We do know it's coming out allegedly in 2022, so...
Yeah, to me, it makes... I don't think we're going to get another Kelvin-verse film.
I don't.
I know everyone's going, it's going to be Kelvin-verse, and they're getting all the cast back because you've got Bad Robot producing it.
Yeah.
So it's JJ. But JJ will have a contract for the next X amount to be producer of the next X amount of Star Trek films.
Yeah, exactly. I don't.
And it'll be just easier to keep him as producer than to try buying him out of whatever contract he has signed.
Let him, he's got a lot of money. Let him bring his producer. He knows how to produce a film. Absolutely, you want his name on it. At the end of the day, you want to be able to have a trailer that says, from the producer of The Force Awakens, what's that, the third highest grossing film of all time. That's not a bad tagline to have in your trailer. So I know some people will complain about it, but I don't think it means...
Let's not put in the tagline... from the director of The Rise of Skywalker. Let's stay clear of that.
Leave that. But,
it's like, it's funny as JJ. I absolutely love some of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm really against some of his other stuff.
I think he's a good producer. I think he's a decent director. I think, when he hits,
I think when it comes to stories, I think he's a great ideas man.
Yeah, definitely.
And he can think up a great story, but he's no good at sort of ending them.
No, and he's always said this.
He can get you going, he can set the balls rolling, but then he doesn't know where it's going to go.
No, he's always said he's a big fan of the mystery box, so he likes setting up all these mysteries. Look at Lost. Look at The Force Awakens, but he doesn't necessarily, and he believes that it's better not to answer these questions. But general audiences, if you look at how the end of Lost is regarded now, and you look at how The Rise of Skywalker is regarded, general audiences disagree with him and tend to want an answer to these big mysteries.
Yeah, I haven't watched Lost. I'm one of those people who never got into Lost.
It's good.
And I've tried during lockdown to watch it, and it's just didn't grab me.
No, that's my philosophy. If you didn't get around to it in lockdown, you're not going to do it. So it's gone.
The Star Wars one, at the end of 3 movies. There shouldn't be loads of mystery boxes at the end.
You should get them all nicely wrapped
You've got 6 hours of screen time. A lot of movies manage to do it in one movie.
Yeah, and
you don't get trilogies all the time. I know a lot of movies are written now trying to create these big franchises, but generally a good movie, the first one comes out and it might get a sequel because it's so good. But it has to tell its own story in one go.
And that's JJ's problem. But yeah, I don't think he's going to have any creative control over this next Star Trek film.
No.
I don't think it's going to be the Kelvin crew. I think Chris...
it makes sense to tie into the TV universe they've got going on.
I mean, best case scenario, and this is just complete pie in the sky thinking, but we do an MCU with it, so we've got all these shows running, and then we have a movie that's Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Picard, Section 31 crossover.
There's been
insane, but if they found a way to do it, I would be down for that.
There's actually been more about Section 31 this week as well.
Yes, yeah.
They're still saying that Section 31 is going ahead.
Yes, because
just things are delayed.
Yeah,
things have been delayed because of the virus, and all the shows are running so far behind. That's why it's not moving forward. And I still think that they're shooting Picard season 2 and 3 because when Picard was launched, it was said it was 3 seasons. That was it.
Yeah,
and I still think Section 31 will go into production when Picard ends.
I agree with you. And you've got things like Michelle Yeoh's signed up to be in The Witcher, I think it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with The Witcher stories or games, so I don't know if the character she's playing dies or not. But I would guess that they've said you can go and, do another show. That's fine. We don't need you until 2022 or whenever it is. But I don't think the fact that she's signed up for another show is indicative of the fact that Section 31's not happening. I think it's on the back burner that it is happening.
Yeah, but like this article I read, they're saying like they've got umpteen finished episodes. They've got finished scripts for a number of episodes for it. You don't put that sort of time in as a studio.
No,
if you're not going to make the thing.
You don't pay writers if you're not going to use their work. Anyway, shall we move on then? We'll have a look at Author from Voyager. Now, this is what? 2 episodes before the end of Voyager?
This is episode 19 of season 7, so...
Yeah, so there's
about 4 or 5 episodes till the end.
We'll remember that when we get to the end of this episode. So I really love the teaser of this episode. Really brief, to the point. You get the Doctor. In the beginning, there was light, referencing.
Now, don't you think this is a lovely? Don't you think this is a lovely effect? Like we've seen loads of stuff with the holodeck where things almost spring straight there, and it's like that effect is just slowed right down in slow motion. Yeah. And I thought it was a lovely effect. It's a
lovely effect, and the idea of it is great because the whole episode is about holographic rights, and so the idea of a life being created from a hologram, it's very much a metaphor for the whole episode. And I love that it's just a really short teaser, just setting it up. Yeah. It's going to be a Doctor episode. It's going to be about this. Off we go. Then we get a live communication with Barclay, so that's why we're covering it. Barclay's there. And Admiral Paris. But Tom's not in the room, so we have the thing when they did Pathfinder the first time, and Janeway said, "Don't worry, your son's here," but he didn't say anything. And now it's like, we're having a live video chat with your dad, but, you're not coming to that either.
Yeah, well, we have the episode, what is it? Is it 30 Days? Where Tom Paris is locked up, and it's the one where he gets demoted.
Yeah.
And he's writing a letter to his dad, sort of telling him what's happened, and he goes, "You're going to be disappointed in me again, but here's my reasons." And I think that there's probably a lot of things where, at some point, obviously Admiral Paris is going to have been very disappointed in Tom Paris for dropping out of the academy and going to the Marquee and all that. It's probably been a huge embarrassment on his career.
You think Tom might be avoiding him then, out of embarrassment?
Well, I imagine that at some point there's been really harsh words between Admiral Paris to Tom about his life choices and how he's carried on.
The other thing I thought
at some point, and Admiral Paris will have had embarrassment within his own career because of what's happened with his son.
Yeah, true.
If you're that high up, you're going to be, whoa, what's happened here? You're in control of all these people in Starfleet, yet you can't control your own son as a cadet.
That's a fair point. The other thing I thought is maybe, are we not doing it because we're saving it for a big emotional payoff in the finale when if and when he finally gets to speak to him? Maybe that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, maybe, but I think that there's been probably harshness, and like I say, in 30 days he writes this letter, and it's sort of a letter of apology to his dad that he's let him down again and all that.
Yeah, there's definitely daddy issues, but it just seems weird that we've had all these opportunities where they could have interacted with each other and we keep avoiding doing it. Then the Doctor is talking to a Boolean literary agent, which is just the Booleans, like, I'm not being Booleanist, but they are a comical-looking species, so it's always
with that split down there.
Yeah, it's always good for a giggle when you get a Boolean, but some of the interesting stuff here is the Doctor says, they deal in really sophisticated literature, this publishing house. But earlier on, Tom said, they're the ones who published Dixon Hill. Now, Dixon Hill is a pulpy noir detective drama. It's not high literature, it's never been intended as that. So I wonder, is this the Doctor bigging this up a bit more than it needs to be? They only deal with the most sophisticated types of things, when actually what they really deal with is trashy stuff. And I think that's borne out a little bit by some of the things that happen later in the episode. So
yeah, like I get the impression that no, they're not dealing in high end. The Doctor's bigging himself up.
Yeah, he wants to think that they only deal in and this Boolean's probably told him, like, we deal with all the greats, all the great literature.
But mind you, I suppose it's that thing that I imagine that by this time, if you've got a novel that, like something like Dixon Hill, Pulp Fiction, that the computer could basically write that novel itself without someone writing the program.
Probably, yeah. Well,
I suppose it's quite novel to have somebody who's designing holodeck programs to play in and interact in.
Yeah, as long as you don't accidentally create a super villain. That's the risk that you always think. We've got a comment here. James, you racist ass. My grandfather was a Boolean. Well, I do apologise to the grandson of the Boolean who's listening.
If you sign into StreamYard first, we can see who you are, Facebook user.
Maybe they don't want to out themselves as a descendant of Booleans. There might be racial tensions with Booleans wherever this person went.
Maybe they're trying to keep secrets still because we're not meant to know about aliens being on the Earth yet.
Exactly. Or maybe
it could be an Area 51 thing.
Oh, it's Dr. Squee. Right. Yeah, I suspected he had some Boolean blood, actually.
It explains a lot.
It does indeed. So, we get to... the Doctor... He goes, Tom, try my novel out. And it's got this really long sort of preamble, basically, the Doctor telling you about the book before you start reading the book.
Yeah.
Some people, the most famous example I can think of of this is if you ever read the book of The Princess Bride, there's about 60 pages of introduction, but the introduction is actually fictional. It's part of the story within the story kind of thing. But there's a lot of negative reviews of The Princess Bride going, this introduction's just absolutely boring. Why am I bothering reading? You're like, no, that's part of the joke. He's pretending that he's written this story for this reason. And Stephen King does it quite a bit, like he has quite long introductions to some of his novels. And the Doctor's clearly... It's just the Doctor all over, isn't it? You know, you're going to enjoy my novel and I'm going to tell you how great it is before you even start it. And Chapter 1 is revisiting Caretaker again. Like, how many episodes
episode 1
covered where they go back to Caretaker and they relive bits of Caretaker again? So many.
It must be 3 or 4 episodes where they do something based on Caretaker.
At least. But we're getting it again. And Chakotay is now a Bajoran. And he's got this huge big tattoo. How many times have we had a joke about Chakotay's tattoo? You know, I wonder if it's someone on the writing staff or whether it's Robert Beltran saying, you know, I hate this tattoo. Like, can we have jokes about how crap my tattoo is?
Well, it was, wasn't it? It was like... Well, we know the reason why it looks so stupid, because Native Americans don't actually have tattoos that.
Exactly.
Because the Mexican they hired that told him that he was Native American just made up everything that they said.
But I mean, it's good fun him having this whacking great tattoo, but it's a joke that we've done a fair few times. Years.
Robert Beltran has to be in on it.
He must be, yeah. It's right. Guess what we've got for you today, Robert? Here we go. And then Tom's Mr. Mercier instead of Mr. Paris, and he's got this moustache that, yeah, it's great. I do enjoy it. Janeway, because I've read a thing or heard a thing. I can't remember whether it was on a podcast or whether I read it somewhere that Robert Picardo always played the Doctor as though he had a bit of a crush on Janeway. And if you look at the way he does these characters, everyone else is just out and out mocking them. But Janeway, it's almost respectful in a way. It's like she's scarier and stronger and more powerful and doesn't stand for anything. And it's almost a bit of admiration going into how he's showing Janeway, whereas he's just taking the piss out of Tom and Chakotay. So he actually
gets her right because she kills the crew member he's going to treat.
True, yeah.
And like, if you look at it from the Doctor's point of view, he's seen her with he refused to help in the thing with Tuvix.
Yeah.
Because of the moral dilemma. So he's actually seen her choose to kill somebody.
Yeah. That's
above
true.
Him. So you can see where he's got this from, and
yeah, it could be a bit of lingering Tuvix resentment from the Doctor.
Yeah,
and we get quite a good fun sort of montage sequence where we get different people trying it out and little bits and bobs that tell us more about the Doctor, like the mobile emitters, a massive, great big backpack.
Yeah.
So we're finding out that even though it's this little thing that goes on his arm, he sees it as a burden. And
yeah, that to be able to go anywhere, he's got to do something.
He's got to take this thing with him. And, you know, that gives us a bit more about him. And then we see that his opinion on Tom's not changed over the years, because he's basically got Tom shagging someone on the bio bed while everything else is going on. And you get Tuvok's got a beard like he's from the Mirror Universe, and you get Janeway threatening to reprogram the Doctor, which I think she has done in the real continuity at some point.
Yeah, she has reprogrammed him.
Exactly. So, maybe he does carry a bit of resentment towards
you
Janeway.
Get Tori's threatening him that I'll reprogram you, and she's done that. You get where you can see that his attraction to 7 of 9, and that is shown in quite a number of episodes.
Yeah.
He definitely has a thing for 7 of 9.
Oh, well, I think everybody has a thing for 7 of 9, but yeah, like, he's got her here as a redhead, and he's got all her implants are, like, blingier and sexier, and her hair's severe. She's wearing it down instead, And then Janeway sort of... She tries it out, and the Doctor gets deleted at the end of the story. So it's a very sort of nihilistic story that the Doctor's framing here. But then, of course, he jumps in and has this little... In case you didn't get the moral of the story, the Doctor jumps in at the end to tell you what you should be thinking. And you need to think about holograms and everything.
Yeah, God forbid having an original idea, you will think this about the story.
Exactly. He comes in and tells you what you should be doing. And so it's a really fun sort of first half of the episode. And it does transition. Janeway
calls him after she's played it, which is obviously what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And she's not happy. And it's how he's going, what? It's pure fiction. It's not based on anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Mr. Marseille.
They all look like us and you've altered a vowel in the name.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we've got another comment from Dr. Squee. He says, as much as this has the laughs and lots of dumb things in it, I do love them exploring how people see themselves. Yeah. The mobile emitter feels like what separates the Doctor from everyone else, like someone with a feature no one else notices that you hate. Yeah, I think that's bang on. You know what? I think
the Doctor actually does say that about the emitter.
Yeah, he does. And it is good how it does give you these little bits of character bits and pieces. And the second half of the episode, then, we get a bit more comedy with Tom, like when he reprograms it. And obviously he's doing it to expose the Doctor as, right, well, this is what you've done to us, so we're going to do this to you now. And Doctor, and he's got
this is how this is how I see you. That you'll drug 7 of 9 so you can have your way with her.
I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? And we've hit upon these a few times where I get the joke works, but it's a joke that you wouldn't do now, I don't think, with this lightness of touch. I don't think do what is effectively a date rape joke in a family viewing programme and deal with it in such a light-hearted fashion. And we get a couple of weird bits where we get these interspersed with other characters talking to people. So you get basically Harry Kim's parents, who they're in on the joke as well, because they're just taking the piss about why he's not got promoted. So
when are you going to get promoted?
Yeah, so clearly they've been on the Star Trek Voyager messaging boards to have a bit of a laugh with him as well, you know. And B'Elanna has a chat with her dad. So we're obviously setting things up.
I think it's nice that 7 of 9 finds that she's got relatives still on Earth.
Yes, that's a really nice scene. And the fact that her auntie's so accepting of her. And just
and 7 of 9 struggles with it. And like she was she was about 5 or 6 when she last saw her. And she's apologising for things she did. And she goes, no, you don't need to apologise.
Yeah, because 7 doesn't get that. Like, no, that's a nice memory that her auntie's talking about. But she's literally like, oh, I did something wrong. And yeah, it's really nice stuff. It's bits like this, and we will come to Endgame in due course. But it's things like this that make you wish we'd got a bit more of Voyager actually coming home and seeing how people react to them and integrating with everyone.
I always feel that Voyager should have either had one more episode, almost like an epilogue.
Yeah, definitely.
Or Endgame, how it was a 2-parter. They should have got home halfway through part 2, and we had just like 20 minutes of them sort of seeing the families or
it'd have warranted
their
it.
Little things.
Need to get like Peter Jackson should have done it like the end of Return of the King. You know that's how you do an ending.
Yeah.
You do 7 of them, one after the other. But speaking of 7 of 9 as well, it's a good running gag in the episode that they keep changing her designation depending on whose program it is.
Yeah.
So she gets sort of promoted and demoted effectively. The then it comes to a bit of a Diet Coke version of Measure of a Man, really. Like, we're not devoting enough of this episode to do it justice, so we're not going to hit that heights there. But we do get some nice moments, like...
it starts, doesn't it, with Reg Barclay tells the Admiral that he's discovered this holodeck program.
Yes.
And it's the Doctor's program that is asked not to be released yet.
Well, this is it, and this is what I mean about the Bolian maybe not being quite as highbrow as he made out, because he's like, nope, not going to let you change it, I'm getting it out there, I'm going to make some money off it. It'd have been good if the Bolian had been revealed to be a Ferengi or something, that would have made a lot of sense. And
or have a Ferengi partner.
Yes, that'd have been good. I like the way Tuvok argues, he's like, okay, we don't necessarily have to argue that the Doctor is a person, just that he's recognised as an artist. And artists are protected. And I thought that's a really clever way of getting round doing the same argument again. You know, we don't have to
we're not
the Measure of a Man.
We're not trying to argue for all his rights. We're just trying to argue for his artistic rights.
And if you admit that he's capable of producing art, then he is entitled to the protections that an artist has, regardless of whether he's a person or not. And I think that's a really clever bit of legal wrangling by Tuvok.
Yeah, like the Volian tries to use a similar argument to Measure of Man, and he goes, this replicator made a cup of coffee, but I don't claim that it can make something original. And it's sort of... it's not the same as writing a holodeck program.
Yeah, and wait until the replicator malfunctions. They've come out with some really original stuff over years when people have ordered things and it's not been... Dr. Squeak says, I think a homecoming scene for the last episode, maybe montage, would have worked well. I agree. Definitely something. But we'll do that for Endgame. Dr. Squeak, why don't you come on when we do Endgame and we'll talk about what's wrong with the Voyager finale. Just inboxes, as they say about that, and we'll sort something out there. Effectively then it does come to a bit of speechifying by Janeway. You know, let's recognise the Doctor as a person, and eventually we get a little concession to it, which is the judge rules that the Doctor is an artist, so Tuvok's ploy worked. We'll recognise him as an artist.
He's an artist, so he has control of his work, and I think the judge advocate makes the right call that he hasn't got enough information here, that he's not willing to make a call, and if the Doctor a person or not. And, like, let's be fair here, this hearing, they said it is lasting 3 days, which is only 33 minutes they've actually had to talk about
True,
stuff.
Yeah, they've done it really, really quickly. It's an open and shut, isn't it? Then, finally, the episode finishes with the EMHs that, as we know from previous episodes, are mining and they're in the dilator. Yeah. They've got the Doctor's book, and it's like, oh, this could be, like a call to arms or an inspiration or whatever. But, and this is why I asked you when this episode was, because that's 4 months later. So Voyager's home by the time they're doing this. And that's just weird when you think about it. It's like, there's this black market book, but the Doctor could have got home and made his revisions and put it out there, and you would think it'd be more famous rather than just being an underground.
I think it's the fact that it's his programs that are watching it that are seen.
Yeah, I get why that scene's there, but it's just weird when you think that.
Yeah, because we normally say that it's a week per episode, don't we?
Yeah. So that sequence is not as disconnected as it would probably have us believe. We're supposed to think this is Voyager still out there, but the Doctor's words are reaching other people. But
the Doctor's home by then.
Exactly. The Doctor could have gone down there and gone, do you want a copy of my book? Anyway. But of course they're not going to give
he could be doing autograph sessions. He's got a mobile emitter.
Yeah, because obviously, no one at this point in Voyager's history suspected that this would be the final season and that Voyager would be getting home in 3 weeks' time. Obviously. Right, so let's move on to DS9 then, Defiant, the Dominion War, kind of. All will become clear. Now, this is, and we often come to this when we talk about DS9, how it subverts expectations, because the episode starts with Kira having a bad day, and any other Trek show of that era, TNG, Voyager, this would be an out-and-out Kira episode. It'd all be about Kira, and that. But it is heavily a Kira episode, but it's not just a Kira episode, and it does so many other things.
Like, to be fair, I know how it starts, but I don't think of this as a Kira episode.
No, I know. But if you just watch the teaser, you would think this is.
Yeah.
So again, it's DS9 can play with those conventions, and what's great about it is these conventions have only existed for about 7 years at this point. TNG's been doing it, and then DS9 already is going, well, let's have a little bit of fun with that. Let's start an episode making it look like it's a Kira episode. And you know what? It's actually going to be a war episode, and it's going to be an episode that's got incredible ramifications for later on in the season.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring a TNG star onto it, but not in the way you think. It's like, whoa, this is quite ambitious for 45 minutes, DS9. I do, though, have to give a bit of a slapped wrist to CIC Video that used to release Star Trek on VHS in the UK. And the DS9 covers, which anyone who's not from the UK hasn't seen the DS9 VHS covers, Google them because they were great. They were fantastic artwork. And I got this video, and on the front of it is Jonathan Frakes, and I'm thinking, ooh, Riker's in this episode. Turn it over. Every episode they had a quote. Every video they had a quote from one of the 2 episodes. And it said, you shouldn't go fishing today, you won't catch anything. Tom Riker. I'm like, well, that's just given away a spoiler for the episode.
Yeah.
It should have just said Riker. And apart from out of context, that's not a great quote.
I originally had this on video in the Transporter box set.
Oh, yeah. Which was... That was a great...
It was a great box set because it had sound effects every time you took the videos out.
You took a video out.
I think I've still got that somewhere. I'm not sure if I've still got the videos.
I bet,
but I think I've still got the box set.
Yeah, it was good, that box set. And yeah, it had Unification 1 and 2. It had Defiant, had Relics, Sarek,
and it had the Klingon one from DS9.
Blood Oath. Yeah, there were 6 episodes, weren't they, on it? Back in the day, when you used to pay 30 quid for box sets with 6 episodes of Star Trek. They won't get away with it now. You buy the.
You could with that one because it had sound effects.
That's true.
And it looked like a transporter pad.
It did because it had the people were beaming up on the box, weren't they? Yeah, that was an awesome box set. Anyway, so slap on the wrist for CIC Video, but well done for making a transporter box set. So one of the things that winds Kira up is Bashir wants to send a runabout to Vulcan. I don't blame her for saying no. That's going to take weeks. We know that runabouts can't go at a high level of warp. We know slap bang in the middle of the Federation and DS9's out on the thing. We know it takes about 3 weeks to get to Earth. So it's going to take...
time warp. A runabout would probably take about 2-3 months, I imagine, to get to Vulcan. Exactly.
So whatever these medical supplies he needs, unless I hope it's not someone who's urgently, struggling with it.
Yeah. Well, it says it's all about was it colonising somewhere?
Something like that. Yeah. I hope they're not rebuilding the new Bajor colony in the Gamma Quadrants. That didn't go well.
Only if Cisco said it was necessary.
Of course, yeah. Then Bashir says, right, Kira, you've got to go relax. What does he do? He takes her to Quark's, and Quark goes, I've got for you a holodeck voucher. What, you mean like last week when you tried to get me in a holodeck so that you could scan my body to make me into a sex program? I'm not falling for that 2 weeks in a row, Clark. Yeah. And then Riker turns up. Typical Riker, looking very, very smug and hitting on Kira. Yeah, did you ever? I mean, I never knew it wasn't Will Riker because of the box. Did you first time you watched it?
First time I watched it, I just thought it was Riker.
Oh, excellent! So you actually
first time I watched it, I thought it was Will Riker. There was no reason not to, because the first time I saw it was on TV.
Yeah,
and we said this before. You didn't get back when this was out, and you didn't get spoilers like you do now.
No, you didn't.
Like, I find it really hard when I'm watching a series that's weekly nowadays to avoid spoilers.
Yes, definitely. If you don't watch
it's awful. It's like I watch The Bad Batch every week when it comes out, but within an hour of it being out on Disney Plus, there's spoilers about the episode all over bloody YouTube, and it's like, give me a chance to watch it.
Yeah, global simultaneous release. It hits at midnight in America, so we're about 7 or 8 hours ahead, depending on which part of America and what time of year it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so by the time we wake up, which is the earliest point we could have watched the episode, it's already all over the place. But yeah,
it's
you're right.
crazy.
We get that back in them days. Cisco and Riker, I really like this scene because obviously we know it's Tom, really, but if you take it at face value and it's supposed to be Will, I like that it's two commanders having a chat, so they're at the same level. We don't often see Riker. He's either talking to Picard, who's his commanding officer, or he's talking to someone who's below him, so he's the first officer.
Yeah,
but
we know that the Enterprise brought Cisco to DS9 from emissary. And we know that Cisco had a problem with Picard, but that was purely because of Worf. 369?
Yeah, Wolf 359.
Yeah, 359. But we don't see anything else about his interactions on the Enterprise. I imagine that he got on with a lot of people on the Enterprise.
I think he would have done, yeah.
And he's probably had time to actually be friends with Riker before from being on the Enterprise.
Yeah, but the thing is, if this had have been Will Riker, it might have been a little bit different because Picard might have gone, "Oh, you're off to see that arsehole Cisco, are you?" Oh. But Dr. Squeeze says, I thought it was weird how O'Brien just goes along with Thomas, asking as if they'd had a dust-up. I've got a theory on this, so we're going to get to it, Dr. Squee. Hang on a few minutes and we will get there. So I do have a theory as to why he doesn't do that. That
was actually my first time in the episode I thought something was wrong.
Yeah. And that's one of your clues that it's not Will. The other one is that he doesn't recognise Dax straight away. And he manages to play it off as, are a bit drunk, I don't quite remember, but it is a little clue seeded there. And he does play it pretty cool, as in, maybe I could have a tour of the station, maybe I could see your new ship. And it gets him onto the Defiant. It's got a cool hand scanner, so at least they're taking extra precautions. Not just anybody can wander onto the Defiant. We'll keep an eye on
he has the same he has the same DNA and everything as
he does.
Will Riker, doesn't he? So
he does. Now, this is the O'Brien bit then. And a lot of people, I see people every so often on, comment chat groups and things like that. And they keep saying, what was the fallout that Riker and O'Brien had? There wasn't one. This is Tom.
This is Tom Paris. Tom Paris is annoyed at O'Brien because O'Brien is the one who was in charge of the transporter when Tom got trapped.
But the reason
that's what Tom Riker's problem is with O'Brien.
Well, I don't.
But Will Riker doesn't have a problem with O'Brien because Will Riker beamed up from the planet.
True.
O'Brien saved him.
I don't think Tom Riker does have a problem with O'Brien. I think he knows that O'Brien knows Will Riker quite well. So if he engages in a conversation with him, O'Brien's likely to rumble it. So Tom does this thing of saying, I don't want to talk to you, O'Brien. I think you know why. The reason I don't think, to answer Dr. Squee's question, that O'Brien challenges it is because if you look at O'Brien, with him being a non-commissioned officer, he's very humble in terms of the chain of command. Like, if you look at how he interacts with other officers, anyone who outranks him, which is pretty much everyone, he's very humble and very subservient with them. So I think Tom Riker knows this, so he puts O'Brien in this awkward situation because he knows that O'Brien, because he's his superior officer, will not challenge him to his face. And
right.
I think that's how he gets away with it. That's always been my take on it.
Yeah, that's a good theory on it. Like, I've always assumed that Tom Riker, when he says, I've nothing to say to you and I think you know why, is that he's referring to the transporter accident that trapped him for 7 years.
Didn't that take place years ago? Was it?
Yeah, it was O'Brien. Yeah, it was O'Brien, yeah.
Okay. That's another good one then, yeah. Now, we get the reveal that it's Tom Riker, where he peels off the sideburns. Why? Why are we doing... Like, are you telling me that if he'd have turned up with his goatee instead of his beard, somebody on the station had gone, that's not Will Riker. Will Riker has a full beard, not a sideburn.
Well, I'm assuming that if anybody's been in communication, because you don't know what communications could be going on, he has no idea what could be going on through Starfleet Command and all that communications. If someone's recently had communiques or been in contact with Will Riker and he does have a full beard, why alter it? Go with how he looks at the time.
True. It's very silly.
But surely if he's been planning this, because he's obviously been planning this mission, this isn't the spur of the moment. Surely he could have taken, in them couple of weeks he was planning, he could have just grown that part in.
You'd have thought he could have done, yeah. But anyway, it's good fun. It's very silly. It's very campy. And he obviously...
It's very secret agent-ish, isn't it? This is my disguise.
Then we do get a really quick recap for Gulda Cat's benefit of what happened in the TNG episode Second Chances. And I love the fact that Decat's there just with his bottle of Cardassian Canar. He's like, I'm going to need a drink for this, you know.
You see, all this could... Like, the thing is, with Second Chances, when they get Tom back, Janeway was still in the Alpha Quadrant then. They could have solved all this from never happening, because she'd have just merged them back together into one.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes, she would have done. Should have killed both of them. Yeah, you're right. So, Decat, I love the bit where Decat they go, well, let's just explain to the Cardassians what's going on. And Decat rightly goes, do you think they're going to buy your story about a transporter accident that split an officer in two and now one of them's joined the Maquis and stolen the ship? Whatever. And he's like, absolutely they're not going to buy that. Well played, Ducat. You're absolutely right.
He is right. Like, this is one of those occasions where the Cardassians are in the wrong in this episode. Well, the Cardassian military isn't in the wrong in this episode.
No.
They do.
No, I mean, he has stolen a warship and he's gone into their territory. They're lucky, in fact, really. Like Kira says to him later on, doesn't she? She's like, I'd have just been blasting this left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
So the
she said, you're in the Maquis. You're meant to be a tourist. You're not acting like a tourist.
Yeah. They're lucky that he's had this intel and thinks that he's off on a mission. If it had been someone else who had it. Well, I wonder what Chakotay had done if he'd have got hold of the Defiant.
Oh, Chakotay would have gone round. Chakotay would have probably got Ducat as his first officer. Cisco on board somehow.
Yeah, he'd have built a wooden bath to go on the Defiant first and got his little monkey to go with him. But anyway, he'd probably got a new tattoo to prove it. But anyway, Then we meet a representative from the Obsidian Order. And I love that she knows that the Defiant's got a cloaking device. And you could read this one of two ways. It's either she knows because she's in the Obsidian Order and they know things. Or, bearing in mind what we find out later on, does she know because the Tal Shiar have told her? Because we find out later on that the Obsidian Order is working with the Tal Shiar. So is that how she knows? And is this a very, very subtle clue as to an alignment between the Tal Shiar and the Obsidian Order? I only thought
like knowing what we know now, it makes sense that the Tal Shiar have actually let her know.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they do fit all these Cardassian ships with cloaking devices.
Yeah. Oh, they do, yeah.
That she's building.
Out. And then now we get the biggest, most spectacular space battle we have ever seen in Star Trek on telly, but it's all on a view screen.
And it's not even a view screen, it's just graphical representations.
Which, to be fair, and I know why they're doing it to save money, but if you watch something like Battlestar Galactica, they never have a viewer like Star Trek does. They're always just watching a tactical display, which is what happens on a real military vessel. You don't... we don't have the technology to do it like they do in Star Trek, but, this is probably what this would look like. But we want to see a big battle. Come on.
Yeah, we do have some big battles coming up in DS9.
DS9 gets better.
Let's be fair to DS9. They did this, and we have, like you said, it's the biggest battles going on ever in Star Trek, and we just get tactical displays of nearly all of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stay like that in DS9 for very long.
In fact, the next few episodes we're going to be looking at, we get more. But it's to this episode's credit that it is still a really exciting, gripping episode, even though we're not getting to see all this stuff. We are just getting it.
Well, I think it just shows that when you've got good writing and a good story, you don't need the blockbuster effects.
No, you don't.
To carry the story. We love the blockbuster effects, but you don't actually need them to carry a story.
Look at Balance of Terror from TOS. Where, that's a fantastic episode. Tom calls the Defiant a tough little ship, which is exactly what Will Riker calls it in First Contact.
Yeah.
Which is a really nice... So it shows their brains still work the same way, even though they're, different people to all intents and purposes. There's a nice bit with Decat where he's talking about his son's birthday, and Cisco sort of tries to bond with him, I'm a father as well, and don't they grow up fast and all this, and Decat says, no, he's just going to end up hating the Federation because it's took his father away from him. And Decat says, that's really sad. And it's like, knowing what we know with where Decat goes, does he mean that? Or does he not? Is he playing a game here? Is he at the stage where he's like, Cardassia at the minute is trying to be peaceful with the Federation, so I'm going to make it look like I am.
Yeah, I think the Kardashians have a really strong family bond, so it is sad that happens to his kid.
Yeah,
but as the children get older, they're expected to go out and fight the wars.
Yeah,
but they're meant to have but they like them to have a nice childhood.
Yes, I do think Decat's got one of the most fascinating character arcs in not just in Star Trek, in TV drama is. How he goes from Hitler to a freedom fighter to Hitler again to the devil, it's just amazing. It's hard to know at any one time where exactly is he on that spectrum at the minute. So I think at this point...
and it's also, at which point is he going to flip again?
Yeah, because at this point, watching it through, you're starting to quite like Decat. He's turned up in a few, and you're thinking, it's not too bad, Yeah. Anyway, and then this is where it kind of comes to a bit of a head. Like, the Obsidian Order lady sort of overrules sending ships to the Arias system. And we get these new ships appearing, which are basically more tooled up versions of the regular Cardassian. And the Obsidian Order's not meant to even have ships.
Yeah.
There's a load of intrigue going on, and you can tell Ducat is not happy about that. Like, he likes to be the man who's in charge. And
he says, doesn't he? It's like they have the central intelligence, whatever that is. But then they have the military, and then they have the intelligence arm.
Yeah.
And both are separate. And the military doesn't conduct intelligence, and the intelligence arm doesn't have warships and all that, and do military stuff. And they don't talk to each other, they don't like each other, but it all works for their society.
But Ducat likes to think that he's the intelligence as well as the military, and I don't think he ever likes a reminder that he's not as powerful as he likes to think he is. And that's what this woman is doing. She's very much in charge of this situation. And even in the midst of all this, like, this could be a disaster for Cardassia. A Maquis guy could do anything with the Defiant, but Ducat manages to wangle a little bit of political clout out of it. Okay, I want them scans of that system. And Cisco, to his credit as well, takes advantage of it. He's like, well, I can get Kira and the ship back if I negotiate with Ducat.
I want my ship back. And like Ducat says, well, somebody's going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's Tom Riker.
Yeah.
And he goes, but we know how Cardassian politics works. He'll be executed.
Yeah. But they managed.
Well, no, we'll just make it life.
Yeah, and they do manage to leave him alive, and it's such a shame we never come back to Tom Riker.
Yeah.
He's been in some of the books, like Imzadi 2 by Peter David has Tom Riker in it. I think it's Imzadi 2. Or it might be one of the New Frontier books, don't quote me on that, but definitely in one of them it has Tom Riker, and I think he's having an affair with Sealer in it. So, it brings back all these characters that we never quite finished their story arcs with. But I would have loved to have seen Tom Riker again and seen what happened when they get him out of Cardassia.
Like, how we know that, how much we know now, Jonathan Frakes just loves to be in every form of Star Trek that he possibly can. Like, I'm still interested how he's going to wrangle his way into Prodigy and Discovery.
He will. He'll find a way. There'll be definitely. We're going to see Jonathan.
You'd have thought that he'd have been up to coming back.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was a scheduling thing. They just never quite found the right story or never quite found the right way to do it. And they had to kind of brush the Maquis under the carpet once the Dominion War ramped up. So maybe just that you had that little window up until about mid to late season 5 where you could have done that story. And then after that, we've moved on. So it is a shame, but like, how good would a Maquis spin-off have been? Because Ensign Rowe joins the Maquis. You could have Tom Riker, Ensign Rowe, Chakotay could come back, and he could actually leave Chakotay out of it. But we could have done something with it. But anyway, you've got the Peter David novels if you want to see it. And this is where Kira's saying, you just want to be different than Will Riker, and you want to do this and that and the other. This is when he says, you shouldn't go fishing today, you won't catch anything, which they put on the back of the video box, which makes no sense out of context. But within the context of the episode, not a bad line.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre reading it on the side of the box, like, you what? And we do get a little clip of the Defiant in action. We get a little snippet. We get to see it shooting against ships.
Like, to be fair, what else we see of the Defiant, the Defiant would have absolutely destroyed that ship.
Yes, I think it would have done. I think it's when, because they get to the stage out there and say there's 3 in front of you, there's 10 behind you. Even the Defiant's not going to manage that. And then, of course, before he beams up, Tom goes in and gets a kiss from Kira. I wonder what Vedic Bareil would have thought. You know what? We don't really care what Vedic Bareil would have thought.
We don't care.
I don't think he'd have cared. He's that boring. That someone's been kissing your girlfriend.
He's an awful...
He is.
He is an awful character. He is so boring. And I don't know if it's the actor's fault or the writing or what.
Bit of both, maybe.
But it's hard to imagine it being with the writing because DS9's so good with characters.
Generally is so good. And I've not seen Philip Angelim or whatever he's called him very much other than this, so we'll leave it there. Yeah, so that's Defiant. And obviously the reason that we've covered it, there's no direct Dominion War stuff, but the Obsidian Order going forward is going to play a massive role in the Dominion War.
Yeah, it's quite important, the Obsidian Order building their own fleet of ships.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another thing that gets paid off. Like, in other Trek shows, this would have just been a one-off episode, and we wouldn't have come back to that. But it's very cleverly and very clearly planting a seed there to say the Cardassians are building something. We're going to come back to that.
Yeah, there's like we're already well into the... I don't think any of us realised exactly where DS9 was going to go at this time. No. And how much of just a story it was going to tell for so many seasons.
No, exactly.
But when you do know that, when you're watching it again, you can see all these bits that are leading up to it. And that's why we're covering these episodes.
Yeah, and another one next week that, again, isn't necessarily Dominion War heavy, but it does feature one of the founders, so we've got to cover it, is Heart of Stone. But because that's not necessarily the most thrilling episode, we're going to have a bit of fun and cover Bride of Chaotica from Voyager as well. So that's coming up next week.
Hopefully we should have a lot of news next week as well, because it's San Diego Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah,
online again. And we're hoping that, I'm hoping that we could get a proper trailer for Strange New Worlds released.
That's number one on my wish list.
Probably a proper trailer for Prodigy and a trailer for Lower Decks.
Yeah, or even a full-length trailer for Discovery Season 4. We've had a little teaser, but presumably they've got a lot more in camp now.
I think now that they've nearly finished shooting Strange New Worlds, they're literally at the point of wrapping up the final episode.
Yeah.
We due a trailer, and San Diego Comic-Con would be the perfect place to drop.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my number one.
The first trailer.
That's number one. I want to see
and we've seen screen grabs for Lower Decks, and we've seen screenshots for Prodigy, but we only 3-4 weeks off Lower Decks, so a trailer's probably in order.
Yeah, we want a lot of Trek to talk about, but either way, we'll bring you all the news next time.
Yeah, we'll have to see how much news we get for what we actually do next week. We might have to change next week's episode.
We might have to drop Heart of Stone. Oh, no. Anyway, we'll see. So if you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, we're on Twitter at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com, or you can come and join us on the Facebook group. Just search for Retrek. Thanks for trekking with us this time, and we will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fascinating.
Bonus content.